What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 50. We have Magomed Ankalaev going against Thiago Santos.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video here. Good card, 14 fights. I think from a fan perspective, this card should be awesome, but man, from a betting perspective, it's a rough one, at least in my opinion. This is going to be the least amount of bets I've had all year. I think I have maybe 5 bets on this card. We'll talk about all of those. We'll talk about these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I like which fighter, on why I am betting what, feel free to check out my full card breakdown and prediction video I posted on Monday, and then also did a live stream on Friday night. So, yeah, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. It's much appreciated. Just recently got 14K subs. I'm hoping to get 15K in the near future, and it is all thanks to you guys. You guys are phenomenal. So, I say we get right into it. And again, this card is tough. I would not recommend going heavy on this card. I most definitely am not. I had a good week last week. I'm not trying to give a lot back this week on a very, in my opinion, sketchy card as well. Next week's card is looking much better. Honestly, I already have one bet for next week's card. And yeah, so we'll go from there. So, first fight of the night, Azamat Murzakanov going against Tafon Nchukwu. Murzakanov sitting at -175 and Nchukwu sitting at +150. And I do like the Azamat Murzakanov in this fight. I think he's just a better fighter pretty much everywhere, and I think he's going to have a massive advantage on the mat. He has solid wrestling, and I did not like what I saw from Nchukwu in terms of his takedown defense, in terms of his ground game on bottom especially. Jung Young Park was able to have a lot of success there, and I think if Azamat gets on top of Tafon early, I think the fight could probably be over. I like Azamat here. I'm not betting him, but there was a bet that I was pretty tempted on. I did not quite pull the trigger. It was on FanDuel Sportsbook. I think Bovada had it as well. DraftKings pulled the line for the fight for some reason, but they should get it back on. But they'll have the Azamat Murzakanov to win in either rounds 1 or 2. And FanDuel had that at +160. I was kind of looking at that. Azamat has finished all but one of his fights. The one win was a decision and a 2-round decision. I think Azamat does finish here, but I'm not running to the window to bet anything on this fight. So give me Azamat to win in the first fight, and give me to win probably by first round TKO. Chris Moutinho going against Guido Canetti. And just like this reminds me of the Nikolai Negumereanu fight, Kennedy and Nzechukwu fight, where it's so sketchy that I really cannot find myself betting on a fight like this, and I don't really recommend anybody does so, but it's I'm not going to be touching this fight basically. So we have Chris Moutinho, who I'm still trying to figure out what he's good at. This guy's going to walk forward the entire time. Probably worse striking defense than Priscilla Cachoeira, which is not good. He's tough, I'll give him that, but he has been finished in all 5 of his losses. I hear a lot of people talking about the durability, and he did show that off in the O'Malley fight, but still he's getting knocked out quite a bit against much lesser competition. And then on the other side here, we have Guido Canetti, who the dude's a 42-year-old bantamweight who has about a 1 round of gas. Like, this fight is very low level. I can't believe this fight's even happening, but if I had to bet anything, there's nothing I'd bet on this fight. I can't give you guys anything here. I'm going to pick Moutinho, though, because he is going to walk forward the entire time. His chin looked good against O'Malley for the most part. And Guido Canetti has about a 1 round of gas. I mean, maybe from like a live betting standpoint, I think Guido Canetti does win the first round more often than not. Maybe live bet Moutinho, if anything, but you cannot pay me to bet on this fight. The pick's Moutinho, but nobody should be confident in any part of this fight whatsoever. Dalcha Langambula going against Cody Brundage. I do like the Dalcha side here. He's sitting around -130. This guy's very strong hips, judo background. Takedown defense looks solid. On paper, 75%. Has stuffed 3 out of 4 takedowns, 2 of them coming from Magomed Ankalaev. Brundage is a wrestler. He's going to be wanting to get this fight down to the mat, but I think it's going to be easier said than done. I just don't know if Brundage can come out here and consistently take down Dalcha for 3 rounds. Is he going to have the cardio to do that as well? I don't think so. I think Dalcha stuffs the takedowns for the most part. If he gets taken down, I think it'll be very hard to hold down, and I think at some point he probably does knock out Brundage, but another fight I don't want a ton to do with here. Dalcha by knockout is +150. I honestly don't love that, so it's going to be another pass fight for me. I'm going to pick Gaethje to win by knockout at some point, but this is a close fight. Miranda Maverick, Sabina Mazo. Maverick minus 310. Mazo plus 260. I did see Maverick around like minus 250 last week, and even then I was like, oh, okay, that's fine, but wasn't running to the window to bet that minus 250. Now she's minus 310, minus 330 on some books. I see minus 335, and yeah, this is not a spot I want to lay that much chalk on. I don't want to parlay up Miranda Maverick, and I will not be doing so, especially after seeing the weigh-ins. Like, Mazo looked a whole weight class bigger than her, and as we got to mention, Maverick is coming in on short notice. But, stylistically, this should be a good matchup for Maverick. I think she can get the fight down to the mat early and often. Mazo, I've not liked what I saw from her takedown defense and her willingness to get up to her feet when she is taken down. So Maverick should win this fight, but, big size disadvantage. We saw that at the weigh-ins. On top of that, she's taking it on short notice. And on top of that, both fighters are very young. Mazo's 24. I believe Maverick's 24 as well. Maybe Mazo can be making improvements in her own right. So it's a fight where I think Maverick should win, but minus 310 is just a bit much, and I don't like any props as well. Decision minus 115. I don't like that. I could see a finish. Submission plus 340. I don't really love that as well. It's gonna be another pass fight for me, but Maverick minus 310. I will pick her to win. And I'm not doing a parlay this week, but she was one of the parlay pieces I would consider. But even then, it's too sketchy for me. Camilla Kirk going against Damon Jackson. I know what you guys are wondering. Is this guy gonna pull the trigger on anything? And yes, I am. This is my first bet of the night. I have half a unit on the under 2.5 rounds at plus 140, and I'll talk about why I do like that. But especially now that they have the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 110. I saw plus 120. I'd take that instead of the under 2.5 rounds. I kind of expected the under to move a little bit, but it really hasn't. I think the under 2.5 is still around plus 130 there. The reason why I like this spot here is going to be because Damon Jackson is a kill-or-be-killed fighter. We can take a look at his finish rates here. Damon Jackson, a 90% finish rate, 16% by knockout, 74% by submission, very dangerous on the mat. And then on top of that, he has been finished in all 4 of his losses. He's been knocked out 3 times. He has been submitted once as well. So I think he's been to decision maybe 2-3 times in his entire career. Camilla Kirk, this is a guy that has a 91% finish rate. His last decision win was against Macklin Amarikani in his last fight in the UFC, and that was his only decision win ever. Prior to that, he did have a 100% finish rate. I think Camilla Kirk has a ton of power. I think he could potentially knock out a chinny Damon Jackson. Camilla Kirk has a very, very good submission game, black belt. Maybe could submit Damon Jackson, but I kind of am on the side that Damon Jackson's going to break Camilla Kirk. I think he's going to put a pace on Camilla Kirk that he's not going to be able to keep up with, and I think Jackson gets him out of there mid to late fight. So I think the fight doesn't go to decision is a good way to look. I think if Jackson does lose, it's probably inside the distance, and I think Jackson can break Camilla Kirk at some point in the fight there. So under 2.5 rounds, half a unit, plus 140. Javid Basharat going against Trevin Jones. Basharat minus 140, and then Jones plus 120. Another sketchy fight here because, first of all, on both sides, it's sketchy. Javid, he's undefeated, but you take a look at who he's beat and fought, and just nobody really good. This is going to be a big step in competition. And if he's not ready for it, Jones is going to come in here. He's going to be ready to fight. And Jones is a guy I just can't figure out. He doesn't look good up until he's getting the knockout win against Timur Valiev. Valiev was kind of beating him up for a round and a half, almost got him out of there, and then Jones knocks him out in that second round against Mario Batista. He looked a little bit better, but Jones ended up knocking out Batista as well as a big dog, and then he's a favorite against Kakhramonov and ends up losing there. I like what I see from Javid. It's just the level of competition is what really scares me away here, and what also scares me away is the unpredictability of Jones. This guy hits very, very hard, has a ton of power, and on top of that, he is a BJJ black belt as well. So, I don't know. I'll pick Javid to win. I think he's going to be the minute winner in this fight, but, Jones is live for a finish. If anything in this fight, from a betting perspective, I would maybe look at the Jones inside the distance at plus 250. I guess I don't hate that, but another fight I just don't want a ton to do with. Jillian Robertson, J.J. Aldrich. Jillian Robertson minus 120. J.J. Aldrich is plus 100. And yeah, I saw a prop on FanDuel Sportsbook. I was able to get it out on my full card breakdown and best bet article on Wednesday, but it was the fight goes to decision at plus 122, and that is no longer there. I was tempted on it, but it ended up just passing because that line was obviously off. It's now, I think, minus 115. Fight doesn't go to decision, which that seems about right, but even then, I feel like it could be a little bit wider than that. Outside of a Jillian Robertson submission, I don't really see this fight finishing. JJ Aldrich could not finish anybody. I don't think she has one finish inside the UFC. And Jillian Robertson, again, she could finish JJ, but JJ is a brown belt in BJJ. She's not been submitted in, I think, 6 or 7 years. It's a close fight. I think JJ Aldrich could win here, but do I want to lay my money on this fight? Again, not really, but I will pick JJ Aldrich. And if the one spot I would bet would be the fight goes to decision at this point, -115, but I do not have a bet on this fight. Matt Semmelsberger, AJ Fletcher. Fletcher, very popular dog. That line came down a lot, but I'm still going Semmelsberger regardless of the line movement. Semmelsberger is going to be so much bigger, a 5-inch height advantage, an 8-inch reach advantage. On top of that, AJ Fletcher's competition is very suspect. This will be a big step up in competition, whereas Semmelsberger, he is the more experienced guy. He has fought the better competition. He does have 4 fights in the UFC. He is 3-1. His one loss coming to Chaos Williams, somebody who people are very high on, and rightfully so. I'm going to take Semmelsberger to win. I just don't know a ton about Fletcher. I was only able to watch 3 fights, and those fights lasted a combined 5 minutes from what I've seen. He looks awesome, but I just need to see a little bit more from Fletcher. So I'm going to take the more experienced and the more bigger Matt Semmelsberger. Not going to bet at -205. I like the fight doesn't go to decision, but that's -260. That's unplayable. So another fight where I'm just going to sit back and watch. But I will pick Semmelsberger for the win. Alex Pereira going against Bruno Silva, and yeah, this has violence written all over it. The problem is, -600 fight doesn't go to decision. FanDuel put out the fight doesn't go to decision at -750, and at that point, it's just not even parlayable. So I was looking, I had this circled from weeks ago. I was like, max bet, fight doesn't go to decision, and then they open it up at -600, and now it's -650 on some books. So you can't even play it. Even the under 1.5 is not even playable. It's -180. So violence. Everybody knows it's violence, but I can't play it. And you guys know I love my violence, but it's just unplayable at this point. I'm going to pick Bruno Silva for the upset here. I think he has more ways to win. Obviously, the much more experienced fighter in MMA. I think he has the better gas tank as well. I think he will mix in takedowns. I know he came out in an interview saying he's not going to go for takedowns, so that almost confirms that he's going to come out here and shoot for takedowns, and I think he does. And if he gets on top, I think he can smash Pereira's face and get him out of there with a TKO. But Pereira, he's going to be the much bigger fighter, the better striker on the feet. This guy has a ton of power. Bruno Silva's never been knocked out. In terms of MMA, he was knocked out on tough, but Pereira can definitely knock him out. I think someone's getting finished in the first round and a half. But I'm going to pick Bruno Silva. Am I going to bet it? No, I'm not. Again, I would have liked to play the fight doesn't go or the under 2.5, but they're just unplayable, sadly. So I'm going to sit back and watch this one, but I don't think I'll be watching it long because I think it does finish pretty early. If I had to pick any bet at all, I guess it would be the under 1.5, but it's not wise, I think, laying -180 on the under 1.5. All right. Now I have some action, guys. Drew Dober, Terrence McKinney. I have 2 bets on this fight, and it's my biggest bet of the night. I have 2.5 units on the fight doesn't go to decision at -200. That line is currently -230. I still like that. We'll talk about why. And then also, it was 5 dimes, and I think it was Sportbet potentially that had the under 2.5 rounds at +168 for some reason. And then I went to Bovada, and Bovada was hanging a under 2.5 rounds at +165, which was weird. And there was no limit on it or anything. I think you could bet up to 2,000 on that, which was weird. And I could have swore they were going to void the bet, so I put a unit on it, fully expecting they'd void it. But shout out to Bovada because they have not. So I'm pretty deep into this fight, and honestly, if I was not already 2.5 units in on the fight doesn't go decision, I would have smashed that line for even more. But 3.5 units total on this fight, basically ending inside the distance, and I'll talk about why I do like that. Terrence McKinney. This guy is a kill or be killed fighter in 15 professional fights. He's never seen the scorecards. On top of that, he is coming in on short notice. How's his gas tank going to look like? When we have seen him extended, he has slowed down. He has gassed out. In the Sean Woodson fight, I did not like what I saw from him in that second round after implementing a wrestling-heavy game plan. And I'm just, curious to see what McKinney's game plan is going to be. Is he going to come out here and stand and bang with somebody with the chin of Drew Dober and the power of Drew Dober? I don't think so. Or is he going to come out here and implement a wrestling-heavy game plan on Drew Dober on short notice and try to submit him. I think that's going to be his route, and if Drew Dober is able to survive that first round, I think McKinney does start to slow down, and I think Drew Dober at some point knocks him out, but get the fight, doesn't go to decision, the under 2.5 rounds, I think that covers both sides. I think somebody's getting finished here. I think McKinney early submission. Drew Dober's been submitted 4 times, been knocked out once as well, or I think Dober breaks him at some point. I think McKinney slows down. I think Dober finishes him probably in that second round. So I think fight doesn't go as good. I think the under 2.5 is good. And again, this is going to make or break my night. 3.5 units on a card where I don't have a ton of bets. This is one that I do have, and I do have the fight doesn't go. And then also the under 2.5 rounds there. All right, Khalil Roundtree, Carl Roberson. I do have a bet on Carl Roberson. I got him at plus 104, 1 unit on that, and the line has flipped. And I think, Roberson's minus 125 now. I think it could be a little bit wider. We'll talk about why. I just think Carl Roberson's better everywhere in this fight outside of pure power. And I think he has more ways to win, more paths to victory. I can see Roberson winning by decision. I can see Roberson winning by knockout. I can see Roberson winning by submission. You take a look at Carl Roberson, who is beating him and how is he losing? And he's losing by submission. Carl Roberson, 4 losses, all coming by submission. Khalil Roundtree has 0 takedowns in the UFC, so Roberson, typically is having to defend takedowns, which he's not good at. He's having to defend submissions, which he's obviously not good at. He's not going to worry about that here. So I think Roberson can outland Roundtree on the feet. We just saw Roundtree 2 fights ago get outlanded 2-1 against Marcin Prachnio. I think Roberson's going to be the better striker, not the harder hitter striker, but the better striker overall. I think he could win minutes on the feet, and then I think a sneaky path to victory is going to be taking down Khalil Roundtree. Because we have seen Roberson grapple pretty much in every single fight, win or loss. He has 2 submission wins in the UFC, and I think he can get another one here. So I like Roberson, to win minutes on the feet, on the mat. I think he can win a decision. I think he can knock out Roundtree, and I think he can take him down, win minutes, and submit him at some point as well. So with all that said, Roundtree has a ton of power. If Roundtree's going to win, he's going to win by knockout. But if he does win by knockout, he'll be the very first one to knock out Carl Roberson. And he even will be the first one to even drop Carl Roberson. Roberson's never been knocked down, knocked out, only submitted, and that's just not Roundtree's game. So at plus 104, I saw a lot of value there. I did want to go heavy on it because, Roberson very untrustworthy, and Roundtree has a ton of power, but I think Roberson should be the clear favorite here. If you like Roundtree, knockout plus 190 is probably the way to go. Sadiq Youssef, Alex Caceres. Youssef is minus 260, Caceres plus 220. I just don't want anything to do with the minus 260. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think it probably goes to decision. I do favor the pressure and the power of Youssef. But Caceres, 65% striking defense, a lot of movement. I think the strike numbers are probably going to be comparable. I just think the harder shots are going to be coming from Youssef. Maybe he can drop Caceres. I don't know if he knocks out Caceres. Caceres is very tough, but I'm going to take Youssef to win a very close decision. But minus 260, I just don't like that. And I honestly don't like the plus 155 on the decision prop as well for Youssef. So another pass for me, but I will pick Youssef to win. Song Yadong, Marlon Moraes, minus 225, fight doesn't go to decision. I feel like I should be playing this fight doesn't go to decision, but I don't know. Don't feel overly confident about it. FanDuel has the fight won't start round 3, minus 134. I was tempted on that. I almost played that. Ended up passing. I think I'm just going to pass on this fight. Marlon Moraes at this point, 6 knockout losses. The durability's not there. The cardio's not there. Has about 1 round of cardio. If you're going to play Marlon Moraes, you play him in the first round. Song Yadong, I think he should finish Marlon Moraes, who again's been knocked out 6 times, who again's been finished in 8 of his 9 losses. So yeah, I think it's a good violent spot. Just I'm not in love with the minus 225 there. Under 2.5 could be something to look at. That fight won't start round 3, could be something to look at, but I'm going to take Song Yadong to win this fight, probably by knockout in the second or third round. And then we have the main event, Magomed Ankalaev going against Thiago Santos. I do have a bet here as well. I have the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 135 and 1 unit on that. This is a value play for me. We have a light heavyweight fight. Both guys are killers, and it's 5 rounds. I mean, minus 135, it just seems very underpriced, and it's now like minus 160 on some books, and rightfully so. Like it's priced as if it was, I don't know, a 3-round like Chris Moutinho, Guido Canetti fight. Like it doesn't make sense. These guys are huge. We're in the small cage. Both guys hit hard, and both guys have been finished. Santos finished 6 times in his 9 losses. Ankalaev finished in his only loss. Both guys, again, hit hard. I think Ankalaev can take this fight down to the mat. His ground and pound is very good. I think he can finish Santos there. I just think there's a good chance for a finish, or at least a better chance for a finish in the minus 135 did indicate. But yeah, 1 unit on that. And then also, again, the fight doesn't go to decision is minus 160 at this point. I think the over-under set at 3.5, which right away instantly like shocked me, because typically in a Thiago Santos fight, even like Ankalaev, most of his fights, you're going to get the over-under set at 1.5. So for this to be at a 5-round fight and it to be set at 3.5 just really surprised me there. I mean, it could go to decision. It could be somewhat of a boring fight. Ankalaev kind of sticks on the outside, picks apart Santos for 5 rounds, but man, I mean, I think this is a good value play here. So that's my last bet of the night. As you guys can see, not a ton of bets, and I'm happy with that. I hate this card from a betting perspective. From a fan perspective, yeah, it's going to be great. It's just this card is tough to bet. I'd be very careful. My bets include Carl Roberson, 1 unit plus 104. I would not bet that at minus 130 at this point. I don't even feel great about the plus 104, to be honest, but I think Roberson should be the favorite, but he's so untrustworthy, and Roundtree has power. Damon Jackson, Camilla Kirk, under 2.5 rounds, plus 140, half a unit. I would, at this point, take the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 120, plus 110, but I do like that. I have my biggest play of the night, 2.5 units on the fight doesn't go to decision, McKenny Dober, minus 200, and then the under 2.5 with that as well, so a lot of my night is going to rely on that fight finishing. Thiago Santos, Magomed Ankalaev, fight doesn't go to decision, 1 unit, minus 135. Those are my 5 bets. Not a ton of action. Already have a bet for next card. Going to be looking into the rest of the next week's card, hopefully sometime tonight. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel as well if you do want more content, more early content. Sign up on dfsbythenumbers.com. There you can get the Discord access. You can get all access to my betting article that I post on a Wednesday. Going a lot into detail there. Get my best bet for each fight. My other betting article that comes out on Friday. Early access to bets, all that good stuff. So check that out, dfsbythenumbers.com. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram, DFS by the numbers. I'll be putting my final picks there with the method as always. And yeah, going live 1 hour prior to the prelims. Best bet, me, Uncle Weezy, Narco Cop, and Eric Betts fights. Be sure to check that out as well. That's about it, guys, and good luck for UFC Vegas 50.